most of all, making sure that the AC was working. So again, welcome to Forest Park. Have a good time, enjoy yourselves, and let's all enjoy the meeting and get all this information, and it's good information that the commissioner is going to pass on to us. And at this time, I'd like for our city manager to come forward and give you, the commissioners, a brief overview of what we're doing in Forest Park. They will work in conjunction with the county commissioners.
Thank you.
Don?
Well, thank you very much for coming. I want to echo what the mayor just said. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the new city manager up through about 3 months ago. So it's been a wonderful experience up to this point, and we have a great community. Again, thank the county commissioners for bringing this meeting to our community and bringing it out into the other communities as well. It's a great program that they're doing. But again, perhaps the highest duty entrusted to any government is the stewardship of and the custody of public resources. Accountability, responsibility, and responsible stewardship is demonstrated through full transparency are key components to maintaining the public trust. With this spirit of trust and transparency in mind, we consider it vital that our citizens and our neighbors are kept informed and updated on the status of the various county programs that affect their quality of life. Tonight's commission meeting affords the citizens of Forest Park and our neighbors just that opportunity. Observe firsthand the workings of their county government, express their opinions and views in a safe and welcoming environment. Hosting this meeting is just one part of the city's collective focus on accountability, transparency, and responsiveness to the individuals and populations we serve. We hope this meeting provides you, the citizens, an opportunity to learn and participate, and inspires you to continue to be engaged in the workings of your county and your city government. We know the strong partnership with our residents and our county partners as well is the best way to work through the challenges and to realize opportunities. Forest Park is a proud and well-run and diverse community. Improving the quality of life for all of our citizens is foremost in our decision-making process. Improving our aging infrastructure and revitalization and redevelopment of our community are key to moving forward. The city and the county have been great partners, and we have much success which we can continue to do, which we're very proud of. A few of those things, I just want to list a few of. This building here was built with CDBG money provided by the county, so thank you for that. We're also working with the Hamilton County Development Corporation on a comprehensive business retention program to identify existing companies that consider expansion and relocation. Redevelopment of vacant and underperforming commercial properties is a priority. In 2018, Hamilton County contributed a $150,000 grant from its Community Economic Development Assistance Program to assist with a $4 million plus redevelopment of our North Point Shopping Center and other opportunities that exist within the 3 business districts of our city. We're working with the county on implementation of Federal Opportunity Zone on Northland to bring additional business investment to our city's original business district. We also partner with the HCDC on the Enterprise Zone program that helped us with numerous projects over the years, including recent expansions of Fry Fastening Systems, Cincinnati Testing Labs, and Emeritus. These companies recently invested over $20 million on projects involving the retention and creation of over 680 jobs within our community. Our Public Works Department, our stormwater utility, recently with a grant of $25,000 secured through the Hamilton County Planning and Development. The city is moving forward with, in August, with an ADA installation for automatic doors and openers in our municipal building to bring it up to code for ADA compliance. Again, thank you for that grant. Street repairs, we're working forward with our street repair program. We're currently in development and grant applications for the municipal road funding, which again is controlled by the county, and we'll be applying for that in August, so we hope for your help with that as well. Our police and fire departments are working on several county and police agencies and researching records management software vendors. As you know, may be aware, there was some issues with that throughout the county, and we are working with various county agencies to help solve that problem. One of the biggest programs that we have in our community, which really helps our citizens, is our police and fire department partner with the county as members of the Forest Park We Thrive community. It's a community outreach program. On May 9th, the first produce pop-up was held at the Forest Park Chapel, and donated produce and other items were distributed to over 67 local families in need. We look forward to continuing this program and the many great benefits it provides to our benefits to our residents. I'm sorry. Again, we participate in with other county agencies and the Hamilton County Communication Centers. It's our desire to continue with that, and hopefully we'll be able to continue to have that funded, hopefully more, so by the county, and continue in that partnership with them. So that's a few things that are going on in our community and how we interact with the county. There's many others, but I just wanted to touch on a few. So again, thank you very much for attending this evening, Forest Park residents, neighbors from throughout the county, and thank you for having this meeting here and giving us the opportunity to interact with you directly. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again so much for hosting us. We're really grateful. This is a great facility. And I know we've a number of us have been here for other occasions too. So I'm going to jump right into public comment. Before I do that, we've got a number of speakers cards. Generally, any speaker's card associated with an agenda item, we would say for that item, but I don't see any related to agenda items, so I'm going to take them all at the top of the meeting. But before we do that, I do want to note something. So these customer assistance program flyers are in the back of the room where you came in. This is a program that is being run through MSB. It's a partnership between the county and the city, and it provides assistance for low-income seniors on their sewer bills. And so if people apply and are eligible, they will see some relief on their sewer bills. So I would encourage you, because I know people are going to be coming and going, to pick this up on the way out, pick up some for any friends that you think might qualify, because this is, we're very proud of the program, and we want you to help us let people know that it exists for the first time ever in Hamilton County. So with that, we're going to dive into the speaker's cards, and I'm going to try to take these by way of topic. So the first one I have is for Senator Cecil Thomas. So Cecil in the back of the room. Oh, and I should have said that everybody, please come up to the podium. We have a timer. You have the pleasure of the floor for 2 minutes, and you will. Is there the is the yellow light? Oh, it's right here. All right. So this is a green, yellow, red, and so you will be able to kind of track your time by way of this little gadget up here on the table. So we ask you, so that we can hear from everyone and give everybody, enough time, please limit yourself to the 2 minutes so that we can get everybody in before it gets too dark outside. Senator Thomas, welcome.
Thank you. I have some documents that I have to offer for each member of the commission as well as the county administrator. And I come on behalf not as the senator, but as the vice president of the Greater Cincinnati chapter of the National Action Network. Bishop Bobby Hill is president. I come on behalf of a concern as to the expenditures that have accumulated over the period of the prosecution of Judge Tracie Hunter. Obviously, we are aware that there's been a significant amount of expenditure. And I bring this to your attention. Those first 2 documents on the first 4 or 5 pages, those are where it says case preparation and investigation. Our concern is as a fiscal responsible agents of the county finances, this is a report from the investigator for the special prosecutor. And this is his account of what he did. And all it says is case preparation, case preparation. Now, as an attorney or anybody else, you have to give more detailed documentation. However, this was approved by Patrick Dinkelacker as written. I find it very difficult to believe that will be sufficient to pay over the 2 documents over $65,000 to the special investigator for the 2 special prosecutors that were assigned. Although they, I bring this to you simply because you all have fiscal responsibility, fiduciary responsibility, if you will, over the expenditures, and at least be able to hold those that presented this document accountable and have them please provide the proper information. So with that, I thank you. I ask that you also give consideration to the fact that Judge Hunter possibly could go to jail, and that you may make a statement on her behalf. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Thomas. Our next speaker is, and forgive me if I mispronounce your name, Larissa Taylor Williams. Good evening. Oh, very good.
Good evening. Okay, I'm Larissa Taylor Williams, and I'm here on behalf of the Honorable Judge Tracie Hunter, and we're asking the Hamilton County Commissioners and the city use the power of your office and call Hamilton County Prosecutor Joe Deters and urge him to drop the charges against the Honorable Judge Tracie Hunter to protect our votes. Judge Nato refused to poll the jury per ORC 2945.77. When the jurors agreed upon the verdict, they must be conducted in the court by the officer having them in charge. Before the verdict is accepted, the jury is supposed to be polled at the request of either the prosecuting attorney or the defendant. If one of the jurors, upon being polled, declares that their verdict is not guilty, the jury must further deliberate upon the case. Basically, Judge Nato in Judge Tracie Hunter's case did not poll the jury, and it was illegal. And we're asking if you would use the power of your office to do something about that. After Judge Nato refused to poll the jury publicly, 3 African-American jurors signed sworn affidavits stating that guilty was not their verdict. Despite this revelation, Judge Nato refused to declare a mistrial or grant a new trial in regards to Judge Hunter. Additionally, Judge Hunter was denied a judicial immunity. The judge currently presiding over her case, Patrick Dinkelacker, ran over and killed a black woman, but was never charged, and he is still a judge. We're asking you to use the power of your office to follow up on this and do something about it. And finally, the prosecutor Joe Deters, who sued Hunter, secured a public contract with another elected official, however, was never charged with a crime, and the citizens of Cincinnati want to know why not. So if you could use the power of your office to make a difference and bring charges against Joe Deters. Thank you.
The next speaker is Reverend Robert Clary. Good evening.
Members of the council and present people, my name is Reverend David Robert Clary. I'm a retired, a resident of College Hill. I'm here to remind us that this process started 8 to 9 years ago, and the county has paid the price of repeated court situations between the local, the appellate, the Supreme Court, and the federal judiciary. The trial itself cost probably in the neighborhood of $750,000, and it is my understanding that the state of Ohio would have done that for nothing. So I'm asking that you as county commissioners take charge of your budget, because it is our taxpayer money, and it has gone much beyond the $750,000, considering all of the court cases that have gone before the trial itself and following. So I'm here in support of Judge Hunter, because the charges were bogus, the trial was a sham, and the result was not legal. judicial misconduct, as has been previously stated, that Judge Nadel refused to poll the jury, which is by state and federal law required. So I'm simply asking that, I don't know what you all can do, but you do control the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Iris Rowley. Good evening.
To the commissioners, Commissioner Dumas, to the administrator, Jeff Ludo, the other people, and to the viewing audience. My name is Iris Rowley. I am a native Cincinnatian, a business owner of 18 years, one of the originators of the Cincinnati Black United Front and the collaborative agreement, which we've all benefited from. So negotiations and conversations and budgets and people's lives have been part of my life for the past 20 years and beyond. I come today to ask that the stewards of our tax dollars utilize their most greatest extent feasible in making sure that not one more dollar is poured into prosecuting Judge Tracie Hunter. We are rolling into the 10th year of this Black woman fighting for her life. We are rolling into the 10th year of trauma for not just Judge Hunter, but for her family, her church, her supportive community, for the county, for the state, for the city of Cincinnati, and for her supporters. This trauma has been magnified in the greatest way that we can ever see. I think this is the most horrendous case I've seen in my adult life. And so we're asking today that you all not extend one more dollar. I'm asking. We're in a budget crunch, as we see now. We got opioids that we're dealing with. We got jobs and family service that we're dealing with. And God knows we don't have enough affordable housing in the county. So why are we continuously spending money on something that is as horrendous as this case has been for the past 9.5 years? So we're asking that because we voted you in. And we voted you in with the opportunity and the inspiration that you would hear us and represent us too. And that it would not just be the biggest donors or the developers or the big money or big business, but those of us who are out here fighting every single day to make our city and county better. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Kathy Tyler. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you? I want to thank you this evening for the opportunity to speak to the commissioners. I appreciate this opportunity. As a business owner for 20 years in Hamilton County and a homeowner for 40, I have spent countless dollars on taxes. My business pays annually $4,000 for property taxes alone. I work with children and families, and I see the needs of children and families go unmet. I see them not be able to get enough medical insurance or child care, or so many things in the community for children and families go unmet. And I wanted to respectfully state my outrage for the allocation of millions of dollars spent on the malicious prosecution of Judge Tracie Hunter. I ask for more fiscal responsibility in the allocation of my tax dollars. I'm asking that you will use the power of your office to put an end to this travesty and have them dismiss the charges. And I want to demand that no more of my tax dollars be spent on this malicious prosecution. Enough is enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Victoria Strong. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening to everyone and to my Forest Park family. I apologize, my voice is a little raspy because I've been screaming and hollering for the last 2 weeks. I want to say I'm glad to be here in Forest Park. I plan on coming back to the jazz program that you all put on every year. So I just want to give you a shout on that. It's always very nice. Unfortunately, though, today I'm here to talk about Judge Hunter. As you can see, there are a lot of supporters in here. We have been going all around the city as well as the country, putting the word out on this travesty of justice. because that's what it's been. This is this county's first black juvenile court judge, and she should have been treated more respectfully than she has been. She's been written off as crazy, and she is not. She ran on rehabilitation, and so when she got in office, that is what she began to do, is rehabilitate the system to do what it's supposed to do. Yet she was met with resistance because she simply was not the candidate of their choice. That in and of itself is a problem. We know that there's cronyism out of this world in the county. You don't have to go very far to name the names, as well as Joseph Deters, his mother-in-law, having run the juvenile court before, and he used all of his consolidated power to bring these false charges against her. That whole thing was a sham. It's probably one of the biggest shams in the state. And so we are asking that you all use your power that you have as stewards of this county to call this off. Use whatever power you have. I will also go as far to let you know that we are not only angry about all of what we're seeing. Some people already mentioned it. The dollars that are being spent and not allocated. We have poverty all over the place. Housing problems going on. And what we are saying at this point, and I hate to put it out here like this, but we are willing to take this city back to where it was in 2001 and use the power that our forefathers left for us. And that is to boycott, to disrupt, and do whatever we need to do, especially if she goes to jail. So we are asking you all to consolidate your power with whoever you need to and have them cronies call off this sham trial that has cost the taxpayers millions of dollars.
Thank you. Next speaker is Dr. Vanessa Enoch.
Good evening, commissioners. Thanks for allowing me to speak. Again, my name is Dr. Vanessa Enoch. Would everyone who is here on behalf of Judge Hunter please stand? These individuals represent citizens of Hamilton County who are outraged by what has happened over the past 10 years while this commission has funded this grave injustice of prosecuting an innocent woman for crimes she did not commit. I'm here to speak on behalf of these individuals as well as the Coalition for a Just Hamilton County and Judge Tracie Hunter. Her family has been residents of Forest Park for over 40 years and Hamilton County for her entire life. We are here to ask the county to stop spending money to prosecute this innocent woman. Judge Hunter's prosecution was an act of retaliation on the part of the prosecutor after she reported him for suing and representing her at the same time. Joe Deters' brother, Dennis Deters, secured a no-bid, multi-million-dollar public contract for his brother and for his cronies while a commissioner on this board. Joe Deters and Justice Pat DeWine colluded in securing a public contract under the same statute that Judge Hunter was falsely charged and convicted under. However, they were never held accountable for that. We are asking that you stand against this grave injustice and that you put an end, use the power of your office to put an end to this grave injustice to Judge Tracie Hunter. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you for being here. Kelly Fraser is our next speaker. I also have a card from Leanne Howard.
Yes.
Are you here for this as well?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Commissioners, thank you all so much for allowing me to speak. I am also here in support of Judge Tracie Hunter, and I think that Dr. Vanessa Enoch articulated best. What we are seeing is the aiding and abetting of true injustice. Judge Tracie Hunter has worked tirelessly around the clock to dismantle the school-to-prison pipeline. What we're seeing in the courtrooms every day are court-appointed attorneys who are paid whatever they deem necessary based on the fact that they work for the judges, they support the judges, and this is a grave miscarriage of justice. What I'm asking you to do as a taxpaying citizen is to encourage Judge Dinkelacker, Joseph Deters, Beth Myers, NATO, anyone who had any involvement in this case to just allow Judge Tracie Hunter, to live her life. Again, this is a grave miscarriage of justice, and as a taxpaying citizen, as Democrats, I mean, considering that Judge Tracie Hunter is a member of the Democratic Party, I would hope that you would stand in support of her. We know that countywide we have a 40,000 unit affordable housing shortage. We know that poverty is an all-time high. We know that we have to come and beg for funds for caregivers, for services for caregivers. And there are so many other bigger issues that we can deal with. But to continue wasting millions and millions of dollars kind of speaks to where your priorities lie. Prove to the citizens who entrusted you to sit in these positions that your priorities are not monoline, that you care about taxpayer dollars, that you're not wasting our money, and stand with Judge Tracie Hunter. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. And we have one more speaker, Leanne Howard, related to Tracy, on this issue. Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioners. I also am here in support of Judge Hunter. And the thing that I'm so concerned about, as I read through the case history of all the things that went on, you know, with the stacking of the jury and the not allowing the jury to be polled and all these things, that there is a good old boy system in place and they're rubbing each other's back. And Judge Dinkelacker, he actually was involved in a accident where a woman was killed. This was not properly investigated. I don't think it was, I'm not sure. But this is the same man who is going to pass sentence on Tracy. It just feels like a deal was made. We'll let you off on this one if you help us out on that one. In addition, reading through the case history, you see that the prosecutor's office is just out of control. And I would like to ask the commissioners, at the least, could we have an audit of the confiscated, I forgot what it's called, you know.
Asset forfeiture funds.
What's it called?
Asset forfeiture funds?
Yeah, the forfeiture funds. Where are those funds going? And additionally, at a greater level, request that there is not more than an audit, but an investigation into the corruption of at the prosecutor's office.
Yes.
Because there was just too much funny business going on. We have the literature, it's all in there, a timeline of how things went down. So that's my request, an audit at the minimum, and investigation into corruption. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for being here. So Commissioner Portune, I know, wants to say something. He was here for a lot of this when it all started, but I want to ask Commissioner Summer-Odumas if you have any comments at this time, and if not, I know Commissioner Portune would like to make some comments.
Certainly have comments, but I'd like to hear from Commissioner Portune first, since he has a historical perspective on all of this.
Commissioner Portune.
Madam President, Madam Vice President, thank you for yielding to comment on this. As many of you know, I have been vocal about this issue for quite some time. Not just vocal, but have also taken action. I, on several occasions, as Commissioner during the height of the litigation, did introduce legislation for the purpose of trying to withhold funding from the prosecutor's office. Those efforts, relative to the prosecution of this case, those efforts did not succeed. They did not succeed largely for a couple of reasons. One, I was outvoted, so that's a quick way for that to happen. But second, under the Ohio Revised Code, the prosecutor's office has the right to go to the common pleas court and request budget from the common pleas court. It is the common pleas court that, by virtue of special session of the court, establishes what the budget of the prosecutor's office is going to be relative to certain needs, and those needs relate to the salaries of attorneys and some other specified areas with respect to specific expenses to be incurred by the prosecutor's office. So as a consequence, while we are stewards of the budget by law, we lack the statutory authority to curtail the budget of the prosecutor's office to any degree that would be sufficient to block these kind of expenditures. I've tried, I've done this, I've introduced this legislation. I haven't sat silent on the sideline. I have been vocal about the fact that I do believe that the continued prosecution of Judge Hunter was wrong and should not be pursued. In addition, I testified on behalf of Judge Hunter at her trial. I was called as a witness and testified at her trial in connection with the allegations and charges that were made against her with respect to the criminal offenses. I will say that beyond all of those things, in terms of my stepping forward publicly in decrying what I felt was action that should be stopped, in addition to taking those steps, I did very clearly call for the not only the end of the expenditure of money, but called for an audit of the amount of expenses that were being paid in connection with this particular matter. I would like to ask Senator Thomas, Cecil, the document that you handed to us is just a fraction of the expenditure summary, if I recall correctly. In fact, as many of you may know, on Tuesday of this week, I asked County Administration to pull together a summary of the total amount of expenses that have been incurred, both out-of-pocket expenses paid by paid out of the prosecutor's office budget in connection with matters pertaining to Judge Hunter, and to the extent that we were able to come up with an estimate of the time value of the work of the attorneys in the prosecutor's office relative to the civil and criminal aspects of Judge Hunter. The civil issue being, of course, the issue relative to the vote count and whether there was a complete vote count or not in connection with her election as a judge, as a juvenile court judge. To my knowledge, the number, and Jeff Alludo, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe at a quick glance, quick effort at tabulating what those expenses have been, they're in excess of $2 million. Cecil, do you know what did your, both in the information that I was able to obtain, as well as your own individual efforts at obtaining, President Treehouse just handed me the list. So starting in 2011, and then taking us forward to today, and I do want to thank Jeff Alludo, our county administrator, John Brugan, county's budget director, and others for, on such short notice, pulling this document together. But the subtotal, if I'm reading this correctly, or total, of the line item by line item delineation of expenses, this document reads $2,121,662 spent. And this relates to the election case, to civil defense counsel expenses relative to appointed counsel, to the criminal prosecution related to appointed counsel, court reporters' pay in the criminal prosecution, and on down the line. The total amount at this quick summary from 2011 to date, to the present time, $2,121,662. And Administrator Ludo, is this a complete, are you confident this is a complete summary of expenses, or just with respect to a quick effort? And I know that you only received this request on Tuesday afternoon. Is it possible that there are more expenses, or do you believe that this is a complete summary of the dollars spent?
I believe it's a complete estimate for the time period we had to work on. There could be some other things that are out there, but I can't say what they were at this point.
Okay, all right. Which, to me, is an extraordinary amount of money to be spent in connection with this particular matter. Senator Thomas, were you able to come up with any expenses that would yield a total greater than that?
Absolutely. I don't know if the administrator has any documentation of the law enforcement trust fund that he has access to. As of 2017, he had spent a total of $338,958.40 of asset forfeiture money paying lawyers relative to this case.
I have, just to summarize that for you, that what's on the document that's been handed to me by President Treehouse, coming out of the Law Enforcement Trust Fund, we have, for the years 2015 to 2019, it looks like $181,424 to the law firm of Keating, Bething, and Kleekamp. For the same time period, to the firm of McGuire and Schneider, also out of, and these are all out of the Law Enforcement Trust Fund, just so that everyone knows. Paying appointed counsel, $29,463, out of the same fund to the firm of Shoemaker, Loop, and Kendrick. It looks like $150,924 to Isaac Wiles, Burkholder, and Teeter. Appointed counsel, $59,153. And to Chris Weist or Weist, I'm sorry, I don't know the correct pronunciation, so to Chris Weist or Weist, my apologies if I'm mispronouncing this, serving as appointed counsel, $13,755. And so a quick summary of that: 30, 60, 93, 274. Looks like $425,000 or so for outside counsel from the Law Enforcement Trust Fund.
And Mr. Commissioner, ladies, commissioners, the irony of all of this is that the Attorney General's website, the Attorney General at the time was former current Governor Mike DeWine. On his website, this all could have been done at no cost to the taxpayers of Hamilton County. It clearly states on the website, it says the special prosecution section can act upon request of the appropriate local authority as lead prosecution in cases where a conflict of interest exists.
Right.
And in other words, he could have simply requested, rather than bringing individuals that were his personal attorneys. That is what's so concerning about this.
So what's that? Would you describe that issue for us, please?
When Mr. Deters was up at the state and he got himself into some issues up there, the two attorneys that are currently the special prosecutors against Judge Hunter were his personal attorneys that addressed the issues for him up at the state.
And it's a divorce.
And also his office, when he went through his divorce, the office that that Croswell and Adams, the office of Croswell and Adams was his divorce attorney. In other words, I was concerned that Judge Meyer, who is the presiding judge of the court at the time, it was her responsibility to appoint an attorney, a special prosecutor. She only appointed the individuals that was recommended to her as indicated by a document that she filed. The question then, though, was she should have at least did due diligence to make sure that there was no conflict. But to give a, if you will, nearly $1 million contract to two attorneys that are his personal attorneys for his personal business, to give $1 million contract to those individuals is unconscionable in this county. This is why this whole discussion about this whole case being a farce was simply just to get her off the bench. So all I ask is that the county commissioners, that whatever authority that you all may have to look into this matter, to make sure that the taxpayer dollars were properly expended without any, I guess if you say any corrupt activity that may have taken place under this entire situation. He in essence, gave a public contract to his personal attorneys.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that further elaboration of the issues, Senator Thomas. Appreciate your involvement in all of this. Notwithstanding that, what I think I hear you saying is that whether we have the legal authority to withhold funds that would put an end to this, which it's my understanding that we don't, we can't. And that has been tried. I've tried that and have proven unsuccessful in that effort, not just because I was outvoted, but in terms of the legal impediments to moving forward with that issue. We lack the legal authority to be in any position to be able to block the expenditure of funds to be used for this purpose. Go ahead, Senator.
And yes, and you and I talked about this at a previous occasion, and I had my staff research it in Columbus, and we determined exactly what you had indicated, is that the statutory authority basically is with the judge. So I'm in the process. We'll be reintroducing legislation. I introduced the legislation. It didn't get the hearings needed, but I will reintroduce the legislation to try to fix this problem.
Good. I think it should be. And we found because in our budget this past year, as we scrutinized the prosecutor's budget and what has been requested in the past and presented to the Common Pleas Court in the past, and what's been approved in the past, is that historically it appeared as if, at least going back for the years that we were able to obtain records directly from the Court of Common Pleas relative to this issue, that during that time period there were requests that were made for monies for that office that exceeded what the statute allowed, and they were approved until this past year when I pressed the issue again. Our board then pressed the issue again, and the Court of Common Pleas revised their order relative to the amount of budget that was going to be authorized for the office, based upon that appeal that we made directly to the court on that matter. And so that at least is one step, one corrective measure that has occurred, not directly related to this case, but I would say as a consequence of this case and our efforts at looking at what our authority is and what we're able to do or not do. There have been corrections made regarding how that process is deployed by the Common Pleas Court and what ultimately the budget will be established at, based upon a strict reading of the statute, and what can and at the same time cannot be approved by the Common Pleas Court.
Hey, we were able to determine, and you refreshed my memory when you were talking. We determined that some of the expenditures were over and above what was allowed by him to use the dollars for. And we know for a fact now that, and I will sit down with you and show those to you, that based on the way the statute is written, it's very limited into how the amount of money, not the amount, but the use of those dollars and how they're to be used. And he went way overboard in doing that. So I'll get with you on that.
I hope you will. And I would kind of close with this, which is that especially in light of the information that you have, all of you have brought to bear with the document that you have tendered to us regarding special prosecutions and what is permissible through the Office of the Ohio Attorney General, I think it is important that we revisit that aspect of these expenditures in connection with this matter. So as far as comments, those are my comments. I wish that, not only wish, but I have acted in my capacity as commissioner within the authority that I have in an effort to address this issue in the manner requested. We have learned what the answer to that is, to what that effort is. I think, my position on the, what's the word I'm looking for? My position as to the facts in support of continuing this case on are well established in terms of what I believe should be an outcome, but we have no authority to stop a prosecution. The prosecutor is an independently elected official. We lack, and this is one of those offices in county government where we just simply lack the authority, statutory and constitutionally, to be able to curb or block. But I'm on record as to what I think the correct outcome should be. Not just speaking out, but I've actually taken steps relative to this. And I will continue to be helpful to you, Senator Thomas, regarding the need for corrective legislative action to be taken by the Ohio General Assembly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a few things. Thank you also, Commissioner Portune, for some of that clarification. We certainly can look at the fiscal responsibility and whether or not we use the money the way we should. I hear the fact that we cannot block the funding, but what we can do after the fact is to look at the funding and see if it was used appropriately and how it was allocated. So we do have some options as it relates to that. Of course, the fiscal part is extremely important, but for me, the emotional impact for Tracie Hunter is even more important to me. I thought about this, I read about it, I prayed about it. And to think about, for almost 10 years, to walk around with a concrete slab over your head, not knowing when it's going to fall, is something that I don't even know that I can deal with. And so just a strong person that she is to be able to handle that. And so I got a little philosophical, and you probably don't want to hear, but it helped me. It says that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Dr. Martin Luther King. So what we need to realize, this is not about Tracie Hunter.
That's right.
It's about all of us. It can happen to all of us. And so we can't look at this situation in isolation.
That's right.
She's the first African-American juvenile court judge. I'm the first
That's right.
African-American
That's right.
county commissioner. There, but for the grace of God, go I.
That's right.
I am Tracie Hunter.
That's right.
So as we look at this situation, it could happen to me, anybody else that wants to be a judge, that wants to be a commissioner. So we all need to gather together, not just black, white, young, old, whatever, and gather around this. This has gone on too long. If you don't stand for something,
That's right.
you'll fall for anything.
That's right.
I have decided that I am standing for Tracie Hunter.
Thank you.
let's get this over with, let's be done with it. I understand that we can't, we technically, as we are the prosecutor's boss, you know, we can't make a mandate on him on what he should do.
Can you fire him?
It would be illegal and unethical.
Can he
And
resign?
so we cannot do that. But what we can do is let justice take its road and see what happens. I believe that justice will prevail.
Yes.
Now, I'm also aware, and you guys have been in it much longer than me, but I also pray and hope that the decision that is made is not to circumvent her ability to become a judge again.
That's right.
So we want this issue to be dealt with finally, and to end all of this that's going on. It's just been too long, as I said before, and I just want to, and she knows that I support her. And I support not just her, but the next Tracie Hunter. I support myself, so I can lead the way for the next commissioner. So I thank you all for coming out and speaking your mind and being a voice for her. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to briefly weigh in, so I think you see that we all agree an inordinate amount of time and money has been spent on something. And we've got the numbers to prove it per Commissioner Fortune. So while we can't do anything at this moment in time related to the dollars that have been spent, there are some actions that we can take in conjunction with Senator Thomas to try to rectify the situation and move forward in a better way to seek justice, as we all intend to do in every case that's in front of the courts and in front of us. So thank you all for coming. Really appreciate it. And so we are going to, and as I told you, I've organized these cards by way of topic. So the next speaker is Monique Mason-Holt.
Madam President, may I say one more thing, and this will truly be brief, which is uncharacteristic for me. But
we have a lot of speakers.
I understand. The question was raised, by some of the audience, can we, the board, fire the prosecutor? We cannot.
We know.
We, the three of us, cannot.
Who can?
But the collective, we,
Yes.
the citizens.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
And there is an election for this office next year.
Thank you.
For which the prosecutor has announced he is running for re-election. And so, for those who stand with Judge Hunter, for those who believe that this prosecution should not have been pursued, the degree or the lengths at all that it has been or even begun at all, to those who believe that a miscarriage of justice has occurred, you have the power.
Yes.
You have the power
Thank you.
to address this issue. You have more power than any of us have. And as a consequence, I will close on just saying, that is the citizens' right and the citizens' prerogative. And those that believe that a strong decision otherwise needs to be made in this matter, that opportunity can be exercised in November of 2020.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Monique Mason-Holt. Thank you all for coming.
Oh, I hope you all stay.
Get right.
Only 2 minutes. Really? I was thrilled. Hi, I'm Monique Mason-Halter. I'm here tonight to speak about my concerns about 4G and 5G small cell towers being installed in front of homes, schools, etc. Cincinnati's plan to become a smart city, and LED streetlights. The American Academy of Pediatrics and other health experts warn that exposure to all sources of cell phone and wireless radiation is very hard on children. Of course, exposure is cumulative, and anything that hurts kids eventually hurts the rest of us too, including our pets. It's not only about increased cancer risk. Since 2004, the International Association of Firefighters has opposed the use of their stations for cell phones and
Guys, I want to get a picture outside of all of everybody who came for Judge Hunter. Grab them outside before they go.
Hey. Let's want to take a picture.
I want to get a picture of everybody who came for Judge Hunter today. So if we can all just stand right out here, I'll take a picture.
And bye, live.
You coming in